May peace be upon us. Alas, peace is a distant hope on a brutal horizon. I would like to address the religious implications of the Goldstone Report. As a rabbi committed to the Torah of nonviolence, I hold to the observation of another colleague who lived many, many years ago, Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, who witnessed the Napoleonic Wars. He said, "Many stupid beliefs people once held, such as idol worship that demanded child sacrifice, thank God, have disappeared. Peace cannot be established without adherence to the demands of restorative justice and human rights. Calm imposed through the agency of suppression is not the same as peace. Peace, by its very nature, can only be established upon the cessation of systematic violence and human rights abuse. Therefore, the religious implication of the Goldstone Report in the area of civil society is an active embrace of the appropriate response. As international civil society considers its response, I am a member of two sayings in my tradition. God formed the human with soil from all over the world, so no one could say, you do not belong here. The second, repeated hundreds of thousands of times, even the commandments of the Torah are temporarily overridden where they conflict with human dignity. There is no justification for the violence that we witness. Since both of these are being violated, human dignity and displacement are being violated on a daily basis, and the violations are growing worse and worse, and the degree of violent suppression seems to know no boundary, we are asked to pursue restorative justice and peace, I believe, in two ways. The first was articulated by an Israeli young person on his first visit to Palestine out of uniform. He came away from that experience with these thoughts. I think the Holocaust lies at the base of the fear that leads Israel to commit terrible deeds. No matter what solution is reached, Jews need reassurance in any agreement that we are not leaving ourselves vulnerable to have anything like the Holocaust again. But what reassurance suffices? We too need to work on this fear. It's not just for the rest of the world to assure us. We will never be completely free until we can heal ourselves. We need not sacrifice any of our remembrance to allow ourselves to heal to the point where we can, as a people, trust other peoples and feel confident about our future. What that future will look like can only be determined in the process of healing, not through the agency of suppression. How we go about healing from cultural trauma is a huge question beyond the scope of these remarks. The research and experience is out there. Israelis and the Jewish community and the Palestinian community have become experts in approaches to healing cultural trauma and PSD. We have to apply the wisdom we know. Secondly, we have to recognize that while negotiations are pursued and dialogues of mutual understanding and compassionate listening are conducted, those of us in civil society must take up the call of hundreds of organizations and individuals in Palestinian society, along with partners in Israeli society, that have called for a nonviolent boycott and divestment from all companies, all corporations and institutions that profit from Israeli occupation of Palestinian people and lands until such time as there is a clear end to Israeli occupation, which is reflected in the complete cessation of the colonial project of taking over and settling Palestinian lands, the dismantling of the separation wall, the dismantling of Jewish-only roads, and the entire infrastructure of what Israel calls hafrada, and an immediate end to the ongoing and brutal and unconscionable siege of Gaza. Two, recognizing the fundamental rights of the Arab Palestinian citizens of Israel to full equality and the right to live anywhere. Three, respecting and protecting and promoting the rights of Palestinian refugees to the right of return in the context of a just and mutually negotiated settlement to the conflict, according to the many peace plans that have been offered since Oslo. The Palestinian nonviolent movement is growing from strength to strength against formidable odds. Recently, Israeli youth, especially the Shministim, those who are refusing to enter military service, and anarchists against the wall and other young people are finding their voices as well. For those in the Jewish community who call boycott and divestment immoral and not useful, I would say to you, you are on the wrong side of history. 40 years of dialogue and negotiation with Israelis and Jews clearly has not worked to advance the cause of self-determination for Palestinians. The atrocious situation on the ground is far worse than ever before. The two-state solution and all the peace plans and roadmaps have been undermined by the systematic effort to enclose Palestinians in what Ariel Sharon himself called Bantustans in order to deny them civil and national rights. In this context, further efforts at dialogue benefit those with privilege, unless they are accompanied by strategies of resistance to the systematic inequality Palestinians face on a daily basis. The agreed-upon strategy is boycott and divestment from companies that profit from occupation. It is true, when one engages in a solidarity partnership, you take on, in some degree, the suffering of a targeted people, in this case, those who oppose occupation. Loss of reputation, work, and perhaps as in the case of Rachel Corrie, may her memory be a blessing, and others, your life. Nonetheless, we are obligated in the face of such systematic brutality to exert the pressure needed to encourage the United States and Israel to do what is right in the eyes of God and humanity, that is, to end the occupation and initiate the creation of a lasting peace. And so, I urge you to take up the cause of boycott and divestment in your way, according to your comfort level, to boycott and divest from corporations, companies, and institutions that profit from occupation. I will end with a poem inspired by an encounter with a man whose daughter was murdered by a so-called suicide bomber and he's a member of the bereaved parent circle, who reminds us that the security of both people is forever linked. Palestinians and Jews in Israel and Palestine are destined to be neighbors. How do we become good neighbors? That is the question, and it can only be together. He used to say, there is no wall so high that it can keep apart those who want to kill each other. And there is no wall so thick it can keep apart those who want to love each other. Which do you want to be? La lucha sigue. Thank you.